Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Orell, and today I'm going to talk to you for just a little bit about fear. Ages ago, it feels like now, I was working in an eating disorder clinic at a women's hospital in Florida, and I learned something pretty fundamental there that has stuck with me and helps me out a lot when I'm working with individuals. And it has to do with when somebody is manifesting a lot of anger, asking them, what are they afraid of? Alternatively, when someone's fearful, it's helpful to say, who or what are you mad at? So in introducing the topic about fear is to understand that it can be interrelated with other affects. Now, what is an affect? Affects are these pre-verbal, which means they don't necessarily have words attached with them, and they evolve in us when we're real tiny before we can speak. Urges or signals that physiologically move through our bodies so quickly that they work on us in ways that kind of inhibit our cognition. So you may immediately just feel a rush of anger, for instance, and don't really know where it came from, or you do know where it came from, but you in your consciousness can't really control that big oomph that comes from the experience of the affect. There are 9 of them in Sylvan Tompkins' work. Fear is one of these affects. Part of when we are talking about affects, what we mean is something that we just have in our bodies. Generally, the affects give us information. So they can be very positive because they can tell us, hey, don't walk down this dark alley at night. You just have this sensation of fear, and that makes you go, okay, no, I'm going to make a different decision about which way I'm going to go. Or you may be traveling and there's an activity that people want to do, and something in you says, this might not be great for me, and you have a slight fear response. Then you have to make a decision after thinking about it. Is it the right decision or is it not the right decision? So it's kind of this mix of the affect plus your thinking. Now, why I point that out, I want to disentangle or break apart our interpretation that fear is always this bad monster. It is and can be something that debilitates our ability to move forward in life or to grow or to do something that might be potentially really exciting but we're afraid of. In another way, though, it is something that gives us information. So to go back to my original statement, it may help us understand what we have other effective stimuli from. So why are we angry? Why are we fearful? What is the thing that's instigating either emotion or either affect, so to speak? I give you this to think about because if fear is blocking movement forward in your life, it might be useful to really meditate upon what is the fear. Is there anger related to the fear? Are you mad about something? Are you angry at yourself so that you can kind of disempower that fear from holding you back? Susan Jeffers, a popular writer on psychology, says, feel the fear and do it anyway. How do we get to this point? How do we experience the fear and do it anyway? I think by recognizing the fear gives you some information, but that information can be used in ways that is or are constructive. I'll use a metaphor about working out because it's an easy one for me in relationship to a head injury that I sustained in 2009 while I was running in Central Park. Long story short, a bicyclist went in between my legs while I was running, threw me up in the air, and I fell on my head. It has created some vision issues for me. When I see in a workout box jumps, I immediately get scared. And one of the things that happens when I feel fear is that my vision blurs. This makes jumping up on a box very scary. It happens every time, it's consistent, and I do the jumps anyway. It has taken me a while to build up to that. I started by jumping over an obstacle, a small obstacle, so I would get comfortable with the way that it felt physically. But because I have a depth perception issue in the vision, the box, jumping onto the box is intimidating to me. The things that I do in order to help myself get up on the box and get used to the rhythm that it takes for my body is breathe. I do a lot of breathing, thinking about what I'm about to do. I do breathing through the exercise. When I'm done, I try to calm myself down. Breath work, calming your system down intentionally and doing it anyway, is one tool that you can adapt. And I think you can adapt it to any kind of activity you're doing in life in relationship to your meditation on fear. I intentionally try to make the movement one flow. One flow. Now, how do you extrapolate thinking about one flow into your life? How do you think about, I'm going to step with the right foot, then the left foot, then I'm going to jump, then I'm going to land? And I think about that pattern every time I do the jump. What does that have to do with real life? This may seem a little bit complicated, but I think it's worth envisioning a ritual or some kind of action or behavior that you develop to embody for yourself when you feel fear. So does that mean when you have the experience of fear, you always take a 5-minute walk? Does it mean when you have the experience of fear, you go read something from your favorite author? Does it mean that you have a certain TikTok or Instagram account that just makes you feel good, that you go to anytime you feel fear? Just some way of responding to that affect in a way that counters it a little bit or breaks it apart. Or maybe every time you feel fear, you write it down. You write something down in a journal. Just some activity that's a response to the fear that allows your body to calm down a little bit. Because fear is that thing that's going to increase your nervous system's response to everything else. And it makes everything else harder. So how can you create some sort of flow that's a direct response to the fear itself? Let's return to the box jumps. The other thing I do to help me is that I always look forward. I look forward and I have the expectation I'm going to hit the box. I look ahead of the box almost. I learned this technique from my coach. So to look at the edge, the furthest edge, I offer this as a metaphor. Look ahead, trust yourself, trust that you're going to make it onto the box, trust that you have done the necessary things to enable yourself to get to whatever the fear is inhibiting. Now, you may have to backtrack a little bit. You may have to think, have I done all of these little steps that I need to take in order to counter fear if it's interfering with a goal, for instance? Or if it is something like, a kid being scared to go to sleep at night. Have there been ways of ensuring that the child understands that nothing bad is in the room? So do you need to create for yourself an awareness of your own self-trust experience that nothing bad is going to happen? Do you need to reflect on what you've done already to get to this point in order to dispel some of that fear and to look forward as you move through that affect? That you may feel fear, but guess what? You can look ahead, you can move forward, you can keep going, you can reflect back so that you can look forward, and just keep doing that to help yourself move through the affect and not let it take hold of your life. Thanks.